Italy sends Ukraine the Centauro. Somewhere in Ukraine right now, an Italian-built tank destroyer just went full Ferrari on a Russian BMP. Yeah, the Centauro has arrived, and it's already making spaghetti out of Soviet steel. In a story first broken by defense journalist Dylan Malisov at Defense Blog, we now have a confirmation that Italy has quietly delivered its B1 Centauro tank destroyers to Ukraine. Rumors about the transfer had been floating around since 2023, fueled by grainy photos of Italian vehicles on European rail lines that may or may not have been headed east. But this week, the fog finally lifted. Ukrainian forces, specifically the 78th Separate Air Assault Regiment, released video showing Centauros already rolling into combat zones, sporting fresh anti-cumulative slat armor and a distinctive folding field grille, the kind of protection grid that's now a common fixture on Ukrainian armor. Hey friends, Wes here, multi-branch veteran, bad Russian speaker, and lover of all things Italian, the cars, the food, and the women.
Hey!
What? I'm kidding. They know I'm kidding. My wife is off camera and I'll be sleeping on the couch tonight. Rome, true to form, hasn't disclosed how many Centauros were sent or what configuration they're in. Italy almost never publicizes its defense aid details, preferring a quiet competence approach over chest-thumping press releases. But make no mistake, these aren't parade vehicles. They're being used. Although we can make an educated guess. Italy still fields roughly 250 to 260 Centauro B1s in its inventories, while it has ordered and begun taking delivery of the modern Centauro 2 to replace them. Italy is completing contracts for up to about 150 Centauro 2 vehicles to modernize its forces, which frees up a portion of the older B1 stock for other uses, including donation. My guess is 20 to 40 sent to Ukraine. Now, this number balances Italy's remaining inventory, the pace of Centauro 2 deliveries, and logistical realism. Oh, and independent open source assessments. And this delivery is more than symbolic. It gives Ukraine something it's needed, a fast, mobile, heavy gun on wheels that can keep up with mechanized infantry and strike hard without wearing out like tracked armor. The B1 Centauro was born in the late Cold War as Italy's answer to a very specific European problem. How do you kill Soviet tanks without lugging around a 60-ton tracked beast that guzzles fuel like a nightclub in Dubai? The answer: put a 105mm NATO-standard gun, the same caliber used by early Leopard 1s and British chieftains, on an 8-wheeled chassis that can sprint 100 kilometers an hour down a highway. That design philosophy made the Centauro a kind of hybrid between a tank destroyer and a reconnaissance vehicle. It's got bite, but it's built to move, not to soak up punishment. Think of it as an Italian MMA fighter, agile, powerful, and allergic to commitment. At 24 tons, it's half the weight of a modern main battle tank. It carries a crew of 4. A commander, a gunner, a loader, and a driver, and uses a 105mm Auto Malara rifled gun derived from the British L7. That's important because it fires standard NATO rounds, meaning Ukraine can feed it from the same ammo stocks used by its Leopards and other Western platforms. Now, it's not invincible, but that's the point. The Centauro's mobility means it can get in, hit hard, and reposition before the Russians even figure out what hit them. It's a gunfighter, not a slugger. Now, Ukraine's been collecting armored vehicles like their Pokemon cards, German Leopards, American Bradleys, French AMX-10 RCs, which we've talked about on this channel before, Swedish CV90s, but each one fills a unique niche. The Centauro sits squarely between a light armored car and a tank, giving Ukraine something it didn't have before: a long-range sniper wheeled gun platform that can rapidly redeploy across the front. This matters for 3 big reasons. First, mobility. The Centauro can sprint along roads and rural routes that would bog down a tracked tank. In a war where artillery duels shift by the hour, being able to reposition a 105mm gun in minutes instead of hours is a major edge. Second, logistics. It's always logistics. Tracked vehicles require more maintenance, more spare parts, and more fuel. The Centauro's diesel engine and modular drivetrain simplify upkeep, so Ukraine can keep more guns in the fight with fewer resources. Third, interoperability. Because the Centauro fires NATO-standard ammunition, it plugs seamlessly into Ukraine's growing Western logistics chain. No more scrambling to find Soviet-era rounds or converting shells in improvised factories. Each Centauro isn't just a gun, it's a new link in a Western logistics ecosystem that's getting smarter and faster by the month. The Centauro spotted in Ukrainian service didn't roll off the assembly line untouched. The footage shows the vehicles have been up-armored with slat cages, those metal lattices that help detonate RPGs and shape-charge warheads before they hit the hull. There's also that folding grill on the roof, the kind Ukrainians jokingly call a mangle because it looks suspiciously like a field barbecue rack. The upgrade suggests Ukrainian crews have already started customizing them based on frontline feedback. Now, that's important. The Italians built a fast, elegant vehicle. The Ukrainians, being Ukrainians, turned it into a street-fighting brawler with scars and soul. And that combination, Italian engineering with the Ukrainian improvisation, is deadly. It's the same formula that turned pickup trucks into mobile SAM platforms, and old Soviet artillery into modern precision-guided death machines. Now, the B1 Centauro has seen real action in Somalia, in Iraq, in Lebanon, and in Afghanistan, wherever Italian forces were deployed in peacekeeping or rapid QRF response roles. Its reputation was forged in ambushes and convoy escorts, where that 105mm gun could suppress anything short of the main battle tank. Its turret rotation speed and its stabilized fire control system let it engage while moving, and the gun's recoil system allows rapid follow-up shots. But its real weapon is the speed. The Centauro can cruise comfortably at highway speeds, covering ground that would leave a Leopard or a Challenger limping. Now, it's no coincidence that the Centauro 2, its newer cousin with a 120mm gun, is now Italy's main wheeled fire support platform. The B1 is the veteran predecessor, still dangerous, still relevant, and now very possibly about to earn a second life in Ukraine. You might wonder why Italy's delivery, in secret and without fanfare, matters strategically. After all, we've seen tanks from Germany, IFVs from the US, and long-range missiles from Britain. But Italy's contribution represents something else. Europe's quiet mobilization of secondary inventories. The Centauro fleet in Italian service was aging, with around 250 units still in operation and newer Centauro 2 models entering production. Offloading older platforms to Ukraine helps Rome modernize its own forces while strengthening Kyiv's mobile firepower. Keeping the Russians at bay is a win-win for Rome. Italy gets modernization credits, Ukraine gets firepower, and Russia gets another unpleasant surprise on a front that already looks like a scrapyard of its own equipment. For 2 years, enthusiasts tracked mysterious rail convoys carrying Centauro silhouettes across Europe. Some claimed they were headed for NATO training ranges. Others swore they were bound for Ukraine. The truth is, they probably were, but Kyiv kept it quiet for good reason. Revealing these vehicles early could have triggered Russian preemptive strikes or even political blowback in Italy, where certain parties remain skittish about sending heavy arms eastward. So the Ukrainian strategy was simple. Receive first, fight later, confirm never, until now. The release of video footage showing Centauros in Ukrainian camouflage is the first visual proof, and proof in this war is worth more than a dozen official press releases. If you're thinking, wait, doesn't Ukraine already have something like this? You're right, the French AMX-10RC serves a similar purpose, but the Centauro's got a few advantages. It's heavier, it's better protected, and its gun packs more of a punch. The AMX-10RC fires 105mm also, but the Centauro's Auto Melara has better stabilization and longer range, although the Italian machine is less amphibious and more aggressive, a tank destroyer in spirit and design. But in practical terms, Ukrainian units could deploy Centauros for counter-armor ambushes or to support infantry assaults where precision and mobility matter more than brute force. It's not a tank replacement, but it's a gap filler, a fast-reacting cavalry asset in a war that rewards speed and adaptability, especially when responding to things like Russian encirclement of small towns along the front. So, what comes next? Well, introducing the Centauro to Ukraine's arsenal comes with predictable challenges. Training crews on a new platform, setting up spare parts chains, and ensuring ammo compatibility all takes time. But Kyiv's learning curve is not as steep as you might think it is. We've already seen how quickly Ukrainian crews adapted to Leopards, Patriots, and even F-16s. By comparison, a 4-person wheeled gun truck is child's play. Expect Centauros to be operational in organized mechanized formations within weeks, not months. This delivery fits a broader pattern in Europe's evolving military aid strategy. The initial wave of Western aid was reactive, a scramble to stop Russian advances. Now it's transformational. Ukraine isn't just defending anymore, it's standardizing on NATO platforms, interoperable logistics, and shared munitions. The Centauro, like the Leopard and AMX-10RC before it, represents institutional alignment, a shift from survival to structured integration. Ukraine isn't being armed piecemeal anymore. It's being prepared for the long game, the one where it fights not as an outlier, but as a future NATO partner. And Italy's transfer of the B1 Centauro may not make the evening news in Rome, but in Ukraine, it's a small revolution. Each of these wheeled tank destroyers is a mobile piece of deterrence, a reminder that Russia's war machine is fighting an increasingly united, increasingly capable West. And for a weapon that once symbolized Italy's Cold War defense doctrine, the Centauro has found new purpose in the fields of Eastern Europe, protecting democracy one 105mm shell at a time. That's it for today, friends. Subscribing is the best way to support these videos. I'm building a real community here, people from all over the world who care about global security, Ukraine's inevitable victory, and dislike authoritarians as much as I do. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.